The mermaid of Onioko River. The screams were the worst part. Even now, I can still hear them. They echoed from the river like cries from another world, pulling chills down my spine. It was the white man, Mr. Thomas, they called him. He was fighting something in the water, thrashing and yelling, while we villagers stood frozen on the bank. Nobody dared move. Before we continue, please subscribe and like this video for more story like this. Now let me tell you how it all began. I'm Ezegbue, a young farmer from Ododowa village. Our village was peaceful, but for as long as I've lived, Onioko River has been a cursed place. You see, the river is our only source of water, yet we can't go near it. If anyone tried, the mermaid would appear, pulling them under, never to be seen again. One evening, our King Moka summoned everyone to the palace. He wanted to know why this curse had plagued us for so long. The village chief priest, Baba Olotu, was called to explain.
The mermaid? They killed the daughter of the queen of the Underworld. Many years ago, a fisherman caught her in his net. She begged for her life, but he refused and killed her. Since then, the river has been her domain, and she allows no one to trespass.
The king asked what could be done, but Baba Olotu shook his head. The queen of the Underworld does not forgive easily, he said. Weeks passed, and we lived as we always did, carefully avoiding Onioko River. Then, one day, a white man named Mr. Thomas arrived. He said he was searching for mineral resources, but soon he became thirsty and asked the king for water. The king sighed heavily and said,
"We have no water to give. The river is cursed."
He told Mr. Thomas and explained the mermaid's wrath. Mr. Thomas chuckled.
A mermaid? Huh? Surely, Your Highness, this is just a tale to scare people.
Go to the river and you'll see. But don't say I didn't warn you.
Mr. Thomas didn't listen. He grabbed a container and made his way to the river, while the village chief priest and I followed at a distance, pleading with him to stop. But before we could reach him, the water stirred violently, and she appeared. Her upper body was human, but her hair was like long flowing seaweed. Her eyes glowed like fireflies in the night. She reached out with webbed hands, dragging Mr. Thomas into the water. I thought that was the end of him, but somehow he broke free. Wet and shaking, he ran back to the palace, his face pale.
You were right. I saw her. She is real, but I will return to fight her.
None of us believed him, but 3 months later, he came back. This time, he carried a small bottle filled with some strange liquid. He told us to stay back as he approached the river. We watched in fear as he poured the liquid on his hands and jumped into the water.
How dare you come to my domain to challenge me? Your life ends here.
I am here to put you where you belong and set the villagers free.
Minutes felt like hours. The river was eerily calm until suddenly, the surface broke. Thomas and the mermaid were locked in a deadly fight. It was horrifying, she screeched, her voice piercing the air, but Thomas held her tightly. Slowly, before our very eyes, she began to shrink. Her arms became fins, her hair disappeared, and soon, she was no bigger than a small fish. Thomas scooped her into the bottle and sealed it tight. Panting, he handed the bottle to the king.
Do not ever open this. If you do, she will regain her power and none of you will survive.
The villagers cheered. For the first time in years, we could fetch water and fish freely. The king placed the bottle in the village shrine, where it remains to this day. People from all over the world come to see it, but none dare touch it. Even now, as I tell you this story, I wonder if the mermaid still waits. If the bottle were to break, would she rise again? I pray we never find out. Please subscribe and like this video for more story like this.